Hi, I'm Heather from Rental Property U. Let's take on our question from the internet today. How do I not buy a lemon? Get that one a lot. Yeah, because it's a valid question. It's a valid question. You're buying a very expensive thing and it's fearful, and people don't have a lot of experience doing it because they only do it a few times in their life, and sometimes it's their first time. So how would you know that? Let's define first, what does that phrase mean? Sometimes we just hear phrases and they're stuck in our narrative, but what does it mean? So AI says buying a lemon means purchasing a product, most commonly a vehicle, that turns out to have severe, persistent, and unfixable defects right after you buy it. The term lemon implies a good gone sour. So, it definitely can apply to houses, but I do think it is a little more tied to cars because they depreciate over time and the components in a car wears out. House components for sure wear out, but it's a little different. And so the main way we combat buying a lemon is really two things: doing your due diligence, hiring the right team to help you through it. You're going to have to work with someone. Even if you're like doing it yourself, you're still working with a title company, a lender, the seller agent, the seller, probably an inspector. But sometimes, your business model is you want to buy lemons. Like, sometimes if you buy foreclosures or wholesales, especially with foreclosures, you're not seeing the house before you buy it. And with a wholesale, sometimes you're not seeing the house before you buy it, or sometimes you're seeing the house for like 10 minutes. Sometimes they'll just say, okay, everyone that's interested, come to this open house, this wholesale open house, and it's open for 2 hours, and you make a decision right then and there, and you cannot inspect until after you close. Sometimes that's how it works. So it's buying a lemon. It could be your business model. It's really your perspective. If you don't want a lemon, really the easiest way to combat that, there's no guarantee, again, because houses are built by people and people are flawed. And machines are flawed too. Air conditioners are made by machines and they break. The newer ones break a lot more than the older ones. Same with cars, actually, I think. And so, but houses are built by people with hands in the field, and bricks laid, each brick by hand, and frame wood nailed in by hands, and it's not perfect. And I say that because, I was going to say the best way to combat not buying a lemon is to buy a new construction, a brand new home from the builder, or a home maybe a year old. Sometimes people buy brand new homes. Their life circumstances change for a variety of reasons. They have to move. And you can buy like almost a brand new home because sometimes the builder won't sell to an investor. It just depends on a lot of factors. But basically, you could do that to help combat. I've had many inspectors, one main inspector that we work with a lot named Michael Potagalos. He is Greek and wonderful. And he says that sometimes his inspection reports on new construction is worse, a lot worse than older homes. Older homes, because the wood is grown quicker and the sheetrock is made internationally and it's not to the standards that we have over here. And the trades, which are the construction workers, they're not trained like they used to be in the 80s. They don't build them like they used to. Okay, it's kind of funny. You'd think it'd be better. And I don't want to scare you. It's going to be fine. Most people aren't going to live in their home 100 years. So, but are they going to last 100 years? I don't know. Maybe, probably, but the quality is just not what it used to be, is his point. So there's always going to be risk. That's my point. If you want to mitigate the risk, like truly, we sell a lot of new construction to help do that because the plumbing's brand new and up to code. Electrical's brand new and up to code. You have the newest materials in there with the least wear and tear, with the least tread on them. You have warranties on a lot of things. So if they do break, usually it's covered for a period of time, at least a year or 2 or 3. Sometimes HVAC parts are up to 10 years. So, it helps give a little bit of a runway into this business, if that's the concern of buying a lemon. And the way, again, number one way you combat buying a lemon is due diligence and your, research and your trusting a bit, verifying. So let me read you what due diligence means, okay? Due diligence is the comprehensive investigation, research, and verification process that a person or business conducts before entering into an agreement or making a major financial decision. Its purpose is to evaluate risks, confirm facts, uncover hidden liabilities, and ensure all conditions are acceptable before finalizing a deal. So with most on-market residential real estate deals and most on-market commercial real estate deals, you're going to have an inspection period of some sort. In the commercial world, they literally call it the due diligence period. But in residential real estate, we use a term in Texas anyway called the option period. It's the unrestricted right to terminate for any reason, but that's the period of time when people do their inspections. And you can do as many inspections as you want, really, as long as it's reasonable to the seller, reasonable hours to the seller, and notice is given. But the main things you're going to look for when you do your general inspection, the inspector will of course look at these things because the inspectors in Texas are licensed as well, just like I am as a real estate broker. But they have certain criteria that they have to follow, and the report that they give you is kind of a standardized report where they have to hit certain things. Obviously, some inspectors are way more thorough than others. Why? Because of experience, because that's the way they've run their business model, just because of who they are. It's an individual perspective. Some are, I don't know, it's not going to be exactly the same, but for the most part, you're going to hit the more or less most of the same things with every inspector. But again, like everything in life, people make all the difference in quality because they care. The more people that care the most usually do a better job and are more thorough because they care. It's a real thing. It translates into real dollars. And but there's 7 major areas that you're going to want to pay attention to. This will help you mitigate the lemon fear when you're doing your main inspection report. And through this main inspection report, you'll reveal other areas that you might need to do additional reports on. So there's 7 major areas that we always really pay attention to initially. So you're going to have foundation, roof, you're going to have electrical, HVAC, plumbing, you're going to have grading and drainage, which is how the water flows from the house around the foundation, and then you're going to have sprinkler and fence. Those are the main expensive ones. Those are the ones that have a lot of, you need to do some thorough, investigation there. Sometimes they're totally fine. But like example, if the general inspector thinks, oh, you might have some leaks in line or some tree roots have grown in through the main line to the city, the main plumbing line, which is the gray water line, the sewage line, for a variety of reasons. Maybe they feel like there's, they don't usually do what's called a backflow test, a general inspector, but a licensed plumber can do that. Those have some restrictions, and some states require seller to agree you to do that. But essentially, there's some tests you can do. Sometimes they can do a camera scope test and see if there's lines that have grown through the pipes, but the inspector might call that out for a variety of reasons. They just have reason to believe. Why? Because they've seen thousands of houses and they run tests and they kind of know things, but they don't know exactly because they can't do evasive, specific inspections like that. So they might say, call a plumber and just check it out. And then you're going to make a decision. This is where you're going to make a decision. Sometimes you're going to say, it's fine. And you're not going to do it because maybe the inspector's like, I just don't know. It could be, maybe the plumber camera scope is $500 and you don't want to pay that. Maybe the seller won't pay that because the way the contract's written or the market conditions or how you negotiated the deal on the front end or I don't know, maybe you just don't, maybe there's so many other issues with the house that you have to decide what's important and what to lead with. But maybe you just decide not to do the plumbing scope. Well, if you do that, then you're not going to really know what you're buying. If you do the plumbing scope, then you know more of what you're buying. But here's the caveat. You're still not going to know exactly what you're buying. It's going to give you more information, but not all the information. Sometimes it reveals, absolutely, there's tree roots growing in your gray water line. And here's the photo evidence. Hey, that would be great if it were that cut and dry. Sometimes it's not like that. Sometimes it's like, well, we don't see that, but we have a concern with this part because this, whatever, a scutcheon looks loose and we're not sure if it's going to be a problem. And then now you're like, well, what do I do? It's not a problem today, but it could be a problem because you open up Pandora's box. You see what you normally wouldn't see. And then you have to make a decision there, another business decision to discern how you're going to move forward. This is a business. There are always business decisions you'll be making. And to mitigate not buying a lemon, obviously you're going to do the inspections, but you're going to rely on your team. And your team is going to help you ascertain which pathway to go and what to do. And the more experienced the team, if they've been in business a long time, chances are, not all the time, there's some doozies out there of agents and lenders and title companies and inspectors. But for the most part, if you have a seasoned team and they've been at it a while, what's a while? I would say, I mean, again, that's hard to say. Some agents have been in the business 5 years and they've done 10 times more deals than an agent that's been in the business 20 years. You really do. If you look at it by volume of transactions, that kind of gives you a good idea of how you're dealing with there. But usually age, experience in the business is a good indicator. If someone's made it this long, they probably have some level of deals and experience, but you just need to, again, verify their experience by asking those kind of questions before you start working with them. But nonetheless, you're going to just, lean on your team to help you guide which inspections to do. Because again, sometimes the inspector could be like, I think you need an HVAC technician, a plumber, an electrician, a person to quote the fence, and a few other ancillary things in the inspection report that aren't on those 7 main categories. But like, let's say all of your windows have deglazed and the gas has leaked in between the double panes. And you can't see out of them because they're too milky and you need 8 window replacements. Well, okay, that's pretty, I guess, important. Not all the time will the seller do that because it's more like wear and tear, but they could, so you're getting a quote on that. And, so this stuff can add up very quick. And you got to make a business decision. If the general inspection costs you $600 and all these ancillary additional inspection costs you $1,500 and you're already at the cap, I mean, you're just making a call, right? It's a lot of moving parts. I want to say that too. There's no right way to do this. Every situation is unique. So don't compare yourself. Try not to compare yourself with if you hear your friends' stories, that, this was easy and that was easy and the seller made everything I told him to make and you're not in that situation. Don't compare yourself. People always love to tell you their victories and tell you how great they are and all the great things they did and what they got. But don't worry about that. Just stay in your own lane, run your own race, and try not to get caught up in that. That's what makes you feel more like you might have bought a lemon. But the reality is, look, this is a business with a lot of moving parts. I hope this video helped elaborate that there's no one way. It is a lot of moving parts. There's a lot of possibilities for how this thing could go. You have a lot of tenants moving in and out. Different tenants are going to take care of the property different ways. So that's another thing. Once you get through the inspection period, you move, you close on the house, then the tenant moves in. 2 years in, you realize, oh, wow, I have to rip out all the laminate because we have moisture in the foundation and I didn't know that and it's warped all the wood and now I got to replace it all and that's $12,000. Well, that kind of stuff can happen. So you just accept that. That's really, I guess, the the overall arching, I mentioned 2 ways to help mitigate a lemon: due diligence and getting the right team. But really the overall arching real way to mitigate buying a lemon beyond those practical elements is the real estate in your head, because this kind of thing drives you crazy and you hold yourself in contempt a long time, and it causes friction in marriages and partnerships. And it takes a lot of headspace away that could be focused on much better things, and being upset that you quote unquote might have bought a lemon or could buy a lemon. Maybe that holds you up from ever doing anything. And the reality is this game can be expensive, but it can also be very, very, very rewarding. And yes, you're going to do your due diligence, you're going to hire the right team, but you're going to get your head right, and you're going to accept, adapt, and overcome. And if something breaks 2 years in and it costs you 12 grand, you're not going to be mad about that. Hold yourself in contempt, blame everyone. You're just going to say, you know what? A house has there's a lot of components in a house that move, because houses are made of natural products like wood, water. There's a lot of water flowing through your house. I mean, somebody could have nailed something on a wall, nicked a plumbing line, maybe on the back of the laundry room wall. And I don't know, maybe and then the nail nicked the plumbing line, and then that causes a leak, but it's a slow leak, and you don't even know about it for a year. It drips for a year. And next thing you know, it causes water damage or whatever. I mean, that kind of thing happened. You just got to accept it. And I think the people that do the best with this business are the people that see it as a learning experience. They see it as just a lesson, because that's all it is. It's just a lesson. How are we going to learn from this? How do I apply that to not just my real estate, rental property investing portfolio, but my whole life? Because it has way more opportunity there. Everything is not binary. It's not linear. It's not just plus $1, minus $1. Everything, it can be bigger than that. And if you decide to go into this business, then stand behind that decision and beside that decision in every circumstance. So in every circumstance, it's not what happens to me, it's what can I learn from this, And that's a way better way to think. That's a way better way to live, because this business can eat you alive. And some people let it. I went through my own journey of that, but I don't live like that anymore. I made a decision that I'm staying in it, that I'm in it, and that I'm going to enjoy it. So I do my due diligence, I hire the right team, and then I get my head right to say, everything works for me, everything is going well, and I get to learn so much on this incredible ride that has changed my whole life, financially and personally and professionally. And I get to do great things like make this video for you. A true passion, something I've been working toward for over 20 years, is to get in front of this camera to do this video. And that is a pure joy for me. So that is the pivot. That's the shift. That's how we get away from the fear of buying a lemon, or the reality that maybe we did, quote unquote, buy a lemon. Because here's another thing. Once you fix all the things, those major things, eventually it's not really a lemon anymore. That's the thing about a house. It can last a long time. It's going to have some wear and tear, which causes you to make some changes and improvements and things like that. But eventually it kind of evens out. You're going to be out of the lemon phase 9 times out of 10. Yes, there can be an outlier situation where you just have like the slope of the land, and every time it rains, water flows to the house and it floods it. And maybe you're in a floodplain. Yeah, you can't control that. Yeah, that's Earth. Okay. That physical thing you can't control, sure. But most situations, that's very rare. And usually you'll know if you're in a floodplain before you buy it, because the title will figure it out, the lender will figure it out, the seller will tell you. Not all the time, but most of the time, there's some check and balances there. So you just have to know you're going to get out of that phase. It's not going to sustain. And then what will happen? The cool thing is you'll be redeemed if you hold the property long enough, because as long as you hold the property long enough, you always make the money back because of appreciation. And then if you're utilizing your other elements, like if you find yourself buying a lemon maybe at that point you could do a cost segregation to help you gain back some of that capital improvements that you've made into the asset, and you could help recoup some of that in the financial, realm of today versus waiting for equity to pay you out when you sell, or maybe even you could always do a cash out refinance later on if you have equity. But anyway, that's a whole nother story. There are ways to help you overcome buying a lemon, but usually it's just going to take some time. Okay. So I hope this helped. Have a great day, and I'll see you on the channel on our next video. Bye.